Welcome to the Science of Hockey, the podcast where we break down the science behind ice hockey. I'm the analyst, your host, and every week we explore the data, research, and evidence that shape how we play, train, and understand the game of hockey. From biomechanics to performance psychology, we take you beyond the rink and into the research lab, giving you insights that go beyond hearsay and into what really makes the difference on the ice. Whether you're a player, a coach, a parent, or just someone passionate about the sport, we're here to bring you scientifically backed information in a language that's friendly and easy to understand. So grab your skates and let's dive into the science of hockey. Welcome to the Science of Hockey. I'm your host, the analyst, and today we're diving into a decade of professional hockey data. This episode examines a 10-year analysis of game and practice injuries. We'll explore the injury trends, from the most common causes, like body checking, to the specific risks associated with player roles and game intensity. This study also sheds light on how protective gear, player education, and rule changes could significantly improve safety on the ice. Whether you're a coach aiming to protect your players or a fan curious about the unseen risks of the game, this episode will provide a detailed look at the challenges and solutions in making hockey safer. So grab your helmets and let's hit the ice.
All right, so ready to hit the ice.
Let's do it.
Today we're going to be deep diving into the world of pro hockey injuries.
Ooh, sounds intense.
It is. The sport's known for its speed, skill, and those big hits.
Can't forget those.
Nope, and we've got this awesome research study from the BMJ Open Sport and Exercise Medicine Journal. It followed a Japanese pro team for like a whole decade.
10 seasons. Wow. That's a ton of data.
Right. So much potential for things to go wrong out there on the ice. We're breaking down what these findings tell us about the risks these guys face every game.
And, when you say 10 seasons, that really is a goldmine of info. Yeah. This study gets seriously detailed, like down to the nitty-gritty. They use the International Ice Hockey Federation definition for injuries.
IIHF, yeah.
Yep. And that's like super comprehensive. We're not just talking career-ending stuff here.
Right.
Even a cut that needs a couple stitches is in there.
Oh, wow.
Even dental injuries. Can you believe that?
Ouch. Makes you think twice about smiling on the ice, huh?
Seriously. Stuff a player might just shrug off and keep going, but it's all documented here.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Like, this study found a higher injury rate than, say, the NHL, 115 for every 1,000 hours of gameplay.
Yeah, that's a lot.
But if they're counting every little nick and bump...
it makes sense that the number's higher.
Exactly. So maybe Japanese players aren't dropping like flies more than NHL guys.
Right. It's the definition they're casting a wider net.
Gives us a way fuller picture, though.
Oh, for sure.
So, lots of injuries, but what's causing them? And the big question...
well, get this. Almost half of all the game injuries were from body checking.
Those big hits. I mean, makes sense, right? It's part of the game, but man, there's a price to pay.
For sure. The study actually points to a multi-pronged approach for safety.
Like what kind of stuff?
Well, better gear is obviously huge. Helmets, pads, the whole 9 yards. But there's also player education. And maybe even looking at the rules.
So teaching guys how to check properly, both giving and taking those hits?
Exactly. And then maybe even cracking down on, those really dangerous hits.
Like blindside hits to the head.
Exactly. Got to make players think twice before putting someone in a bad spot.
Because head injuries are still a huge concern, even with helmets. The study found 6.2 concussions per 1,000 player hours. Pretty much the same as the NHL.
Yeah, it really shows that we still have a ways to go when it comes to head safety.
Big time. So it's not just about the equipment.
Nope, it's got to be a whole cultural shift.
Player safety first, at every level.
Absolutely. But let's zoom in on the body again. Besides the head, what areas were getting hit the hardest?
Literally.
Yeah, literally. Shoulders and fingers. No surprise there, right?
All that force from those checks, sticks, and pucks.
It's like all that energy focuses right on those points.
And those finger injuries, man, those are going to be brutal.
Totally. Yeah. Affects how you handle the stick, the puck, everything. It can really sideline a player just like a leg injury would.
Yeah, shows how every part of your body matters in hockey. Speaking of, this study found something interesting about practices.
Oh, yeah, this was a bit of a surprise. Ankle and foot injuries were more common during practice than games.
Really? I would have thought the opposite.
Right. You think games would be way riskier.
Makes you wonder if the way they practice could be part of the problem.
Totally. repetitive motions, overuse, even the practice environment itself.
So maybe teams got to be just as careful in practice as they are in a game.
I think so. It's definitely something to consider.
It really makes you think there could be a lot of hidden factors we haven't even thought about.
Oh, for sure. And that's the beauty of research like this. It opens up so many new questions to explore.
So true. Okay, we've talked about forwards, defensemen, but what about the goalies?
Yes, the last line of defense.
The study found they have way fewer injuries than everyone else.
Yeah, which isn't that surprising, right? All that padding, different style of play.
But did they actually explain why it's safer?
That's what's interesting. They confirmed the lower rates, but didn't really dig into the reasons.
So is it the gear, their movements, maybe a bit of both?
It's a good question. Definitely something to think about. But before we get lost in goalie land, let's zoom out again.
Good idea. Big picture time. What's this research telling us about hockey safety overall?
I think that's the key question, right? Are we worried? Are we on the right track?
And I think that's where we're headed next. Because this isn't just about numbers on a page. It's about understanding what these injuries mean for the players, for the game.
It's about the human cost.
Exactly.
Yeah, the human cost. 479 documented injuries in this study alone. It's a lot of pain, a lot of rehab, time off the ice.
And potentially long-term issues, right?
Exactly. It really makes you think about the ripple effects, not just for the player, but for the whole team.
Oh, yeah, like a chain reaction.
Exactly. One guy goes down, the team dynamic shifts, could even affect performance, maybe puts more pressure on other guys.
Leading to even more injuries?
Right. It's a vicious cycle. That's why research like this is so important.
Highlights the problem.
Exactly. The researchers actually had some solid recommendations for how to make things better.
Like what? I'm curious.
Well, one big thing was standardizing how injuries are reported.
Across different leagues and studies.
Exactly. Use that IIHF definition we talked about, so we're all on the same page.
Makes sense. If everyone's measuring things differently, it's impossible to compare.
Totally. You need good data to track trends, see what's working, what's not, and make the game safer.
So consistent data.
Yep. And then they talked about a multi-pronged approach to prevention. Not just one solution, but attacking it from all sides.
Right. It's not a quick fix.
Nope. Gear, of course, is important, but they really stressed player education, maybe even some rule changes.
A culture of safety, basically?
Exactly.
So it's not just about strapping on a helmet and hoping for the best.
Not at all. It's about teaching these guys how to protect themselves, how to protect each other.
Almost like a safety curriculum built right into hockey training from day one.
I love that idea. Imagine, right alongside learning to shoot and pass. They learn how to check safely, how to fall without getting hurt, how to recognize a concussion.
Build those good habits early.
Yeah, and it's not just about protecting them right now, it's about their future.
Long-term health.
Right, because those concussions, those chronic injuries, they can have a huge impact on their lives even after hockey. Their thinking, your mental health, everything.
That's a scary thought.
It is. This isn't just about winning games. It's about protecting these guys' futures.
And that's on everyone, not just the players.
Absolutely. It's the teams, the leagues, the coaches, even the fans. We all have a part to play.
Creating a culture where safety comes first.
Exactly. So how do we move from just talking about it to actually doing something?
That's the question.
I think it starts with conversations like this, being honest about the problem, not being afraid to challenge the way things are.
Teams can invest in research. Leagues can enforce stricter rules.
And fans, they can hold everyone accountable. Make sure player safety is at the top of the list.
It's about sending a message. Winning isn't worth sacrificing someone's health.
Absolutely. We should be celebrating the players who play smart, who look out for each other.
It's a different kind of toughness. Not how many hits you can take, but how responsibly you play the game.
Well said. And that brings up an important point about this study. It focused on one team in Japan.
So we can't assume the same thing is happening everywhere?
Exactly. Different leagues, different countries, different styles of play.
Maybe even different cultures around, like how physical the game is.
Totally. So are injuries similar in other parts of the world?
What about North American leagues? The game's definitely more physical here.
That's a great question. And then you've got different age groups. Are younger players at higher risk? What about women's hockey?
So many questions.
It really shows how much we still need to learn.
This study is just the tip of the iceberg, so to speak.
It's a starting point for sure. We've been talking pro hockey, but what about all the kids playing?
Youth hockey. Are they facing the same risks?
That's huge, and honestly, it deserves its own deep dive. We need to understand what's going on with those young players. how to keep them safe.
Yeah, it's like a whole other side of hockey that needs more attention. I mean, these kids are the future, right?
Exactly. Their health has got to be priority number one. We need to make sure they're learning the right skills, the safe habits from the very beginning.
It's about setting them up for success on and off the ice, because these injuries, they can have a lasting impact.
Absolutely. And that's why this whole conversation, this whole deep dive, has been so important.
It's about more than just numbers and studies.
Right. It's about the real people behind those stats.
Right.
Recognizing the risks and doing something to protect these athletes.
So for everyone listening, anyone involved in hockey, players, coaches, parents, even just fans, what's the one thing you want them to remember?
Hockey injuries, they're not inevitable. We can make this game safer. We have the knowledge, the tech, everything we need.
But it takes everyone working together, right?
Absolutely. Player safety has to be the top priority at every level. Invest in research, prevention, and create a culture that puts those players first.
It's about changing the way we think about injuries.
Exactly. They're not just part of the game. We can do better. We have to do better.
This is a call to action for all of us. So as we wrap up today, we want to leave you with a challenge. Think about your role in the hockey world. What can you do to make this sport safer?
It can be big or small. It all matters. Talk about safety, support research, be a voice for change. Every little bit helps.
Keep learning, keep asking those tough questions, and let's build a future where hockey is all about passion, skill, and keeping those players safe.
Because at the end of the day, the real win is making sure every player walks off the ice healthy, ready to play another day.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Until next time.
Thanks for tuning in to the Science of Hockey. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to share it with your friends, teammates, or anyone who loves hockey as much as you do. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And we'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment to let us know what you liked, what you'd like to hear next, or any questions you have. Your feedback helps us make the show even better. Until next time, keep your skates sharp, your mind open, and keep chasing the science behind the game.